We are recording. Hello, Jeannie. How are you?
I'm truly wonderful. How about you, Michael?
I am doing fantastic. I really appreciate you taking the time to be on the show today. And I want to thank you for yesterday too, as well. I had an amazing reading, had my numbers done. I've never had my numbers done. So if you guys haven't guessed, we're going to talk about numerology. We're going to talk about the power of numbers, how amazing that is. But we may talk about a few other things. We may go a little off topic, but that's okay. We may talk about animal totems and spirit guides and crystals too, as well, because I know you have a vast array of knowledge when it comes to that. So if I had to ask you, if people come to you and say, what is numerology? So how would you best describe numerology?
Mm, Numerology is math. It's in everything. It's in the universe. It's in the stars. It's in our cells. It's in our DNA. It just is. It's everything. It's vibration. And so it's a science based on the fact that we're all energetic beings. We all vibrate with energy. And we have cycle days and we have cycle months and we have cycle years. And we also have energy according to the vibration of the name that we chose to, if you believe you're not from here, like I certainly do, come into the planet with this time, like
Okay.
your full name on your birth certificate.
Okay. So when you basically do a numerology and you do a reading for someone, so you're taking they're taking their birth name as well, but you're
Mhm.
also taking in account their actual birth date. So that's the main number, right? Is that's the main number that you base the readings on?
Yeah, and then I go from there with all the other stuff that I've gathered over the last 34 years.
Okay, so let's talk about that because you do have a wealth of knowledge, and I think it's really important to really kind of showcase that because it's brilliant. I mean, it's just really amazing the amount of information that just it just seemingly flows right out of you. It's fantastic. So what else? Well, I mean, because I know you do like the tarots and everything else, and I want to educate people on what numerology is and the different numbers. Is each number have a different significance that has something that attached to it?
Yes.
Okay,
And each letter in the alphabet also has a significance.
okay,
And everything has a significance. And numerology is just another form of symbology as well.
okay.
Not to get religious here, but it was in the Bible.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Uh, I'm convinced it's because the Master Jesus didn't want everybody to know what he was doing.
Well, I mean, I'm a big, fan of the spiritual side of Christianity and the Bible stuff like that versus what's been kind of indoctrinated. So there's always a lot of mystery and stuff behind the scenes that's inside there too as well, which is fantastic. So each number, can you basically just go through each number and kind of describe to people out there? So we start at one. What is the meaning behind one? And then we can just maybe work our way up to like
Oh
nine and
my
just
goodness, we could spend a whole hour on that, Michael.
well, I mean, we got almost a whole hour, but I mean,
Okay,
we'll do like we
okay,
can do like the
well,
Coles Notes
okay,
version.
let's just do this.
All right.
Uh, okay, so rather than being a little bit methodical, we have to flow with this, and this is what I'm getting.
All right.
Because I'm goddess of the unexpected, okay, according to my numbers, and I'll explain that at some point. But the numbers basically go from 1 to 9, okay?
Yeah.
So this is the sequence. One being the beginning, one being the seed, one being the idea, the thought, the word, the symbol, the intention. You can go on and on and on. One,
Yeah.
it's the spirit of whatever it is that you're putting forth.
Okay.
Okay. Now, one vibrates to the magician in
Okay.
the tarot deck. Because one of the things that I have done over the last 34 years, because, I analyze everything. And of course, when I got turned on to all this stuff 34 years ago, I just kept researching and researching and researching. And it's like, what does this mean? And looking under rocks for answers and da 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 da. And, then fell into all these rabbit holes and met these native shamans and, studied the indigenous teachings and blah, blah, blah. So, essentially one is also akin to the eagle. in the indigenous teachings,
Okay.
meaning that it is from spirit that we get the idea.
Okay.
But it's also the number of ego.
Interesting.
So if we think we're coming from ego and we're planting these seeds and we're going to make it happen, yeah. Okay, well, good luck with that. I got a few stamps on my forehead I can sell you. That doesn't work. Okay.
That's so true. That's
So
so true.
then, yeah, so then you get to the number 4, okay? Because when you plant the idea of this whole cycle, because that's what it is, if you're looking at it as a cycle,
Okay.
when you plant in your one cycle, be it day, month, year, you harvest it in what? Your fourth. Your fourth. And 4 is what? 4 is the number of the harvest.
Okay.
But it doesn't manifest until you go through 2, which is the number of the subconscious mind. Okay?
Okay.
2 is the number of choice. What do you have to do when you make an idea? Okay, I got a thought. Okay, what do I have to do about it? Okay, I have to make a choice, do I not?
Yes, that's correct.
But 2 represents in numerology the number of choice. If you want to move it up a notch, it's the scales of justice and balance. Okay, it's the sacral chakra, because I've correlated everything to the chakras too. Okay, it's your decisions, but we think that our decisions are coming from where? Our great little ego, because, you know, I'm the best and my poop doesn't smell. Okay, well, 2 is the number of the subconscious mind, and that's where all the poop lives. That's why they call it number 2. So we may be triggered in the present to make a decision, but if we do not uncover where our decisions are coming from, like for instance, you know, how to cook a roast beef, where'd you learn that from? Okay, well, you learned it from your mom. Well, where'd she learn it from? She learned it from her grandma. Yeah. And they cut the ends off the roast beef for eons of time. And they finally found out why. It's because she lived through the Great Depression. She didn't have a pot big enough. Okay, so this is the stuff we take on from our bloodlines, and this is how we influence our decisions. The next thing we have to do is we have to make an action, right? 3.
Okay.
So 3 is the action. Okay, now you've got 1, 2, 3. You've got the divine triangle. Connection to body, mind, and spirit, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Or you could even call it the divine triangel. All you have to do is move the L to triangle, triangel. I love bending words. It's just one of my things, one of my passions. Okay, so 3 is what do you do about it? Okay, you've made the action, but it has to be right action, right? Because without conscious choice, conscious thought, and right action, now this is the most challenging of all, and this is where we get to the number 4. 4 is the material world. Take your typewriters, people, your keyboards, you know, put it on shift, put it on caps lock. Guess what? It's caps locked on the $sign. Yeah? 4. Yeah, I got to make it happen, man. They didn't tell you how. They just told our parents that Jack had to go into the box and Jill had to go all the way up that hill to get the water. Why? You know, it might be clearer up the top. Then you go to 5. 5 is when you stepped out of the way because you can't make it happen. The only thing that you can do is do the work. You know, right choice, right thought, choice, action, and then you step out of your way and you allow source energy to be that rod. Now, whatever you want to call source, it doesn't matter. Just know it's not you.
Okay.
That's ego that thinks it's you, right?
Yeah, of course.
I
We
have
always do. We always think that.
I have a few war wounds that, you know, taught me that that wasn't a true thing.
Yeah, I think I've got a few of those too myself.
Yeah, you got to be careful of those bear traps.
Yes. Yeah, they do hurt.
So 6 is bringing it on home. 7 is a time of reflection. Okay.
Okay.
So, you know, lots of people. Have you ever had a cycle, Michael, where, you know, it doesn't matter, like a day or a month, and you know, you've got your whole plan for the day, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've got my list. I've checked it twice. I've got my pattern. I've got my plan. And then you open your front door and get hit by life.
Yeah.
And you don't get anything that you had decided that you would like to get done that day. Why? Well, I asked that question, you know, because, you know, I'm 64 years old, so I got a little tired of banging my head against the wall. It started to hurt after a while.
Yeah. I know how that
I
is.
looked up and I saw there was no lid on that box. You know, plus they named me Jeannie, but that's another story. Right?
Yeah.
And I looked up and it was like, wow, you know, all I have to do is research the cycles and kind of go with the flow. I don't know what brilliant mind brought that up, but it probably is probably Einstein or Tesla or something.
Yeah. You know, it's just so easy. Like, you know, that's the thing I loved about numerology. And it's a lot about just surrendering to what's happening at the time and, you know, getting out of the way. And it's something that's, you know, it's really kind of stuck with me, especially after the reading yesterday. It's like, you know, I gotta get out of the way and get my ego out of the way and allow things to just happen and manifest, you know, because divine's got my back and they know what's going on. And I think I know what's going on all the time, but no, not all the time. But it's really interesting, all those the different numbers. So from 6 to 7, then we go into 8 and 9.
Yeah, so 8 is the number of harvest.
Okay.
Okay, so it vibrates to the strength card at the tarot deck. But I just want to get back to the 7 because, you know, all that talk about the 7, you know, the seventh day, the 7, you know.
Yeah.
Having been raised in the Catholic faith and researched that quite well, and all the other faiths in between, because I'm very inquisitive. And so I take what I resonate to and carry on. And that's what this whole thing is all about between you and I. This whole podcast is you guys can take what you resonate to and, you know, kind of carry on. But the 7 is the number of time.
Okay, interesting.
And, you know, if you spell time backwards, you get emit. As in, how do you spend your what? Your energy. How do you spend your time? Right? It's also the number of looking within. It's the number of slowing down. It's the number of nature. It's the number of trust. It's the number of everything metaphysical where you actually take the time to smell the roses, baby. Because if you don't, how can you possibly reproduce any of them?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And so the key word for time is no. And so, you know, people don't suck blood, okay? There are vampires out there. They don't suck blood, okay? They suck energy, which is prana.
Yeah, that is so
So
true. I met a few of those.
yeah. So you just need to have a sign that says no is a complete sentence. And
I
if
like that.
if they don't get that, then you know, please call again when you get a life, or just please don't call kind of works as well. You could blame it on me because I don't really give, you know, one of those rats patooties what anybody thinks anymore.
Yeah, I think after a while, I think it's, you know, it's interesting after a while, I think as we get older, we just start realizing we just don't give a fuck anymore. It's just like, we just kind of like, you know what? I don't care what anybody else thinks anymore. Sometimes it takes us a little bit longer. I know for myself, it took me a lot longer, but for in general, I just think in general, I think, you know, as we get older, you just can't be bothered. Like you said, it's time, right?
Mhm.
We just don't
Well,
have
I
it.
don't know about you, Michael, but I'm getting older, not older. Hmm. I'm in my 60s now, don't you know? I'm a late bloomer.
You're the late bloomer,
Now,
are you?
but let's get to the 8. So the
Yes.
8 is the number of money, sex, wealth, and power, and it's also the number of dharma, which is
Okay.
actually doing the task for the task's sake. So this is where we get back to that divine triangle again, or triangle. Okay, you're
Okay.
at the apex of the triangle. And I don't know about you, but my father was he was a soldier. My mother was a war bride, and he bought me a real hammer when I was 3 years old. It wasn't one of those plastic ones. But I just want to talk about this analogy, okay? So we think we have to make it happen. So here we are, we got the hammer, okay? And we're working on a deck, we're building a deck. And we've got the nail, and we put it in, and we hammer, and it's done, okay? Do we know it's done? No, we think we still have to keep hammering it because we don't see the results. The next thing you know, the friggin' nail is in there, and there's a great big hole in the deck, and you're gonna go stub your toe on it when you come out the door with your energy drink in the morning. And so sometimes when you're in a 7-year and you're wondering why the money isn't coming, why isn't this happening? Why is this happening? Why is this not happening? It's because you're not supposed to push anymore. You're supposed to go in, and a lot of us are really stubborn about that. We have to get our internet shut off. We have to, have something blow up in the world in order for, us to take some time to smell the roses. Like, come on, people. Like, we need to unsign on for these hard knocks we're calling to ourselves.
Yeah, interesting. Now, I just got a quick question. With everything that's going on right now in the energies of, let's say, 2021, is this, what would you consider this an 8-year, or what year is this? What number is?
Oh, no. Okay, well, we got to just get back to the garden here,
All right.
2020, where the seed was started.
Okay.
So first of all, viruses, okay, biggest fear of all. Okay, fear is the worst virus of all. Fear.
Yeah, that is so true.
What it does, without talking about anything like virus, because there's all sorts of germs happening in the world. Okay, all sorts. I'm really glad I ate worms as a child. Okay, because like nothing's gonna get me, because I don't want it. Like the thing is that if you believe that you're an energetic being, then you'll either decide that you would like it or you're not. And one of the things that I've done is I've correlated also diseases, because I do really like to hyphenate that word.
Yep.
To what is going on in the ethereal in your mind, because it all starts in your mind. Okay, so let's talk about 2020.
All right.
Okay, 2020 adds up to the number 40. Okay, 40. And whenever you get a 0 attached to something, it means that there's great cosmic assistance at this time. Great cosmic. But the number 20, and we've got 2 of them. Okay, we've got 20, and then we've got 40. So basically, as a collective, we are rebirthing the planet.
So that's where we're going to.
Well, the 2020, we are rebirthing the planet because we're rebirthing ourselves one by one by one. And we're all linking together as we rebirth. 1 in 10,000 people going to make it through this shift. They didn't call this the Canadian Shield for nothing. Canada, eh? Yeah, it's -20 outside, but it's sunny, and plus I've got, as my late husband Buzz used to say, the 3 sets of clothes, rubber booter, hippie chick kind of look when I go out. So I just layer, and it's all good. But the thing is 2020, that's what we're doing. It's a reset. 20 is the judgment card in the tarot deck.
Okay.
Okay, so Archangel Gabriel governs that. And just a little piece of interesting, like you guys can take it wherever you want, but what kind of horn? Nostradamus did once say, he talked in riddles, that the world was going to shift when Gabriel blew his horn. And it kind of all made sense to me. We were talking yesterday about you playing the trumpet and me playing the trumpet.
Yes, that's interesting. Yes, the correlation there.
It's pretty good that we're both big bags of wind, because we'll get this message out here, won't we?
Yes. And that's what I'm really excited that you're on it, because I know we had a fantastic conversation yesterday. And I think we talked for almost an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours.
No, 2 hours. I almost was late for my writing class.
Yeah, it was so fascinating because there's just so much, like it's just so everything's so intertwined, and the vastness of information that you were putting out between the numbers, the energy, what's happening in my life, what's happening all together, holistically on the planet, what's going on. It's just mind-boggling, and I love it. I love it. I can't get enough of it. And I could just sit here. And I'm just gonna. I don't even want to talk. I just want to listen because I
Okay,
just
well, we'll go
learn.
to the 2020 then, like you're really good for my ego, man.
Yeah, it's been
Oh yeah.
fantastic, and it's so true
Wicked.
though. Like I mean, the whole idea, what you were saying was the idea that everything is this change, and we all are going through this,
Yeah.
and I think that's really important. That's why one of the things I developed this podcast is because I know so many people are going through it, and I wanted to make sure that people understood that there is information out there that you can get help. You got to find the right people, and you can start moving on with your life and really becoming that amazing human being that you're always meant to be, that you just kind of lost over the last several years of your life, whatever. But yeah, I just find it so fascinating.
Well, Michael here, people, is a star man. Okay, he's from the stars, and he's supposed to shine, even though there's parts of him that's a big, big hermit. That like turtling.
Hold on.
Oh my goodness, I'm not sure I want to stick my neck out this time because the last time I checked, I was at the fires with Jeanne. Oh, sorry, we went back another lifetime.
Yeah,
That's where we picked each other up.
exactly.
Hope you weren't on the end of the burning stick. Anyway, I don't care because it's all about paying it forward now. But your numbers, Michael, one of the reasons why you love the information so much is because you have 2 8s in your makeup. And so you're the gatherer. You're the one that puts it in front of people and says, hey, people, listen up. Like, what do you think of this? What do you think? And you're going out to the world with it, which is an absolutely beautiful thing. Michael has owl medicine, people. So if you try to lie to him, forget it. Don't waste your time because he's going to see right through you and he's going to bring you to your knees. All right. So just a little bit about Michael and the numbers. I hope you don't mind me sharing that.
Well, no, it was okay. I think I just got a little embarrassed a little bit because I wasn't expecting it, but thank God my camera doesn't see my face blushing as much, but that's okay.
Oh,
But
good.
yeah, let's talk about animal totems and medicine. This is because it's something interesting. You had mentioned that I had two. You had the white owl and then the mountain lion.
Mhm.
Um, are there different? I guess obviously different animals mean different things for certain people. Now, do certain animals, let's say for a second, an owl, does it mean different things for different people, or is it just basically the same for each individual?
Well, that's a loaded question too.
Well, I like to
Because,
have those loaded
yes.
questions. Yeah.
Well, for example, take your number. Okay, it's the number 21. Your birth number, 21.
Yeah.
Okay. So 21, for example, now I correlated this. It vibrates to the world in the tarot deck. So you are the world. I just keep hearing that. You are the champion. Okay. But it also vibrates to the white owl. Okay. And owl is wisdom.
Wisdom. Yeah.
Owl is the night eagle. Owl sees through all the shite, sees through your
Yes.
shite. You're there to, find out all about yours as well, because, in your life has not been tranquil. So you also work with crow medicine. We talked about that. You've been
Yeah.
hit by a few 2x4s because crow
You.
vibrates to the number
You
24.
can see that
Two
bump
by
there ahead.
four.
There's a bump
Yeah.
there, then there's a bump there too as well.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I've done a few full moon face plants myself. But anyway, so getting back to the numbers, yes, they do correlate, but they also have meaning.
Okay.
So I have spent the last 34 years discovering the language of nature. And if you want to get back to that 2020 time for plenty, it was a world reset, 20 keywords, turning points, self-awareness.
Wow.
Also Judgment Day. And the animal that
Wow.
it vibrates to scrutiny, the mouse,
Wow.
the mouse. Okay, people, read the labels. Unplug your TV. Throw a rock through it, preferably a rose quartz, because the healing properties of rose quartz is forgiveness. So whoever's stuck to the remote control will forgive you for smashing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So 22. Now we've got the mouse. So we've got 2 mice. All we need is another blind mouse and we'll have the nursery rhyme, right? 2 blind mice.
Nice. See how they
Okay.
run. Yes.
See how they run. Okay. So they're blind? No, they're not blind. But we were taught a long time ago in nursery rhymes that they are. No. When mouse appears, this is what I mean. If your cat decides to give you a gift and drops the mouse at your feet, he's saying, excuse me, but I'm from the planet Sirius, and you got to get more serious about looking at what's around you, buddy.
That's
Because if
interesting.
you don't, your ass is going to be grass. Speaking of animals and all of that, they're also our familiars, and they all vibrate too. So let's say somebody puts a mouse in front of you. Well, I'd look at that. If you were walking with me for a day, I'd go, there's a big turning point coming up. I have to look at the details. I've got to look at the fine print of something. Okay, so that's 2020. You've got 2 mice in 2020.
Interesting.
Okay, so now let's move forward. Now you've got a master number 22, because 2020 is 22. So whatever is going on was going on in 2020, got seeded 4 years prior in 2016. But it goes way back to 1998, 22 years, because 22 is the ancient numerical value for a circle. It's the alpha and the omega. It's a circle. So whatever was going on for you in 1998, and people, listeners, listen up. What was going on for you in 1998? I know what was going on for me. My daddy was lying there on his deathbed seeing visions of a great big bang in 1998. And he said, oh, there's going to be a lot of people die. And I said, really? And he goes, yeah. That was 3 years before 9/11. And so it's 3 o'clock in the morning and I'm saying, okay, well, Dad, like, so where am I going to be? Okay. So morphine's good for something, because he started laughing his ass off, and he was laughing for about 10 minutes. And finally he said, you're going to be working the front lines. It was like way before I got the peace train for a music channel. That's another story.
Wow.
22 is the beaver.
Interesting.
And you know what? We've been a little hard on the beaver, don't you think, Michael?
Yes, the beaver. Yes. Now, beaver. Okay, so I mean, it's interesting. Okay, so what's the correlation to the beaver and the symbolism there? And then it's the symbol of our country too, as well, as because this is a Canadian
That's on the
podcast.
nickel.
Yeah. So
on the 5-cent piece. So 5 is all about the heart. Okay. So we Canadians up here that are up, being shack-wacky in the middle of the North Country. Okay. North is wisdom. We're just like broadcasting out. We're like the beaver tails. They even have a GIF on Facebook saying with a heart that says beaver tails on it. We're that popular. Okay. Beaver is the builder. So we are building a new earth right now.
interesting.
It's the foundation. It's the master number 22. But if you add 22 up, what do you get? You get 4, which is the base number of 2020. So great divide. Some people are really crouching and cowering and all the fear and all of that. And some people are taking off their masks and their cloaks, and they're saying, okay, people, listen up.
That is so interesting.
This is how we see it. Okay, so now moving right along to 2021. Time to have fun. It's on my Number Genie Facebook page. It says so right there.
Wow.
Okay, 22 is the number of the fool. in the tarot. And of course, that's vibrates to the name Jeannie. But they also did spell my name like Jeanne d'Arc. But that's another story too. So 2021 adds up to what? 41. 41 over 5. 5 is the number of the heart.
Interesting. Okay.
As the world turns, it's the number of the sacred spiral. That is the symbolism of it. It's also the number of bear, the bear.
Interesting.
So it brings the medicine of bear, the bear that is able to go in to the cave and then come out with the jewels. Okay? It's not a year where everything is going to be set in stone. Okay? Everybody is in a river right now. We're all in the water. We went from a fire year into the water. And some people are drowning.
Yes, that is true.
Fear. Their lungs are drowning in fluid because they have chosen to leave the planet at this time because they have given up on life in some way, shape, or form. Lungs are breath. Okay? You hear, oh yeah, you know, heart attacks run in my family. Lung disease runs in my family. Well, just take a look at all their idiosyncrasies and you'll know why. It's not that it's not that it's hereditary. It's like you pick that shit up and you need to unlearn it. Ask me how I know that.
Yeah,
That's another story.
That is so true. I mean, that's the years and years of just being programmed, like that lineage of stuff that we inherited from our grandparents, parents, and and it just kind of passes the buck all the way down until somebody in the line kind of goes, yeah, you know what? Let's just kind of stop right here. Let's try to fix this at my stage here
and
before
somebody
we
in
go
the
on.
line signs on for it too.
Yeah.
You know, we were speaking yesterday about that and how much we might have ingested tequila wise in order to sign the papers. Yeah.
Yes. How much did we say? It was at least was it
I don't know.
40
I lost count.
40 anyways of tequila, maybe at least.
A 40 and a 26er. That's another story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. But
Actually,
yeah.
just speaking of it, I must, I must say this. I know my sense of humor sounds sometimes like really kind of off the cuff and that, but going back to the 40 and the 26er and just being really serious here and letting, just sharing a little bit of my true story and why I'm here. Okay.
Please.
34 years ago this month, my first love, my first husband took his life the day after my 30th birthday. And I sat under a plant pot for 2 years in a corner with a 40 and a 26er. I drank and drove. I wanted to be taken. I didn't have the guts to do it myself, although the first night I did. And then I looked at myself and I went, whoa.
Wow.
And then I realized that, and this is another huge story about the energy in houses, and we could do a show on that, but where I was, I knew that I wouldn't be there if I didn't get out. And so many people, like, I'm 30 years old, what do I know? And everybody's saying you got to wait a year. And I'm saying, if I don't get out of here, I'm going to be dead. This house has got bad juju, man.
Yeah.
Anyway, I listed it like the very next day.
Wow.
Okay. But I'm here because then after I got out from underneath the plant pot with the 40 and the 26er and realized that, well, first of all, it wasn't good for my liver. And secondly, it just wasn't why I was meant to stick around. Because I've tried to leave the planet a few times. You don't have to kill yourself to take on a disease and leave the planet, or
yeah, of course,
have a death experience, which I did when I was 3. That's another story. But the thing is that I'm here because I just wanted to talk with him. I wanted to connect. I've had so much death. And so numerology was the thing that I started because I wanted to find out more about myself.
Okay.
So from your name on your birth certificate, you have what's called a soul number. What are the things that you need to do to feed your soul? It's okay to have a job, but why are you here?
Yeah.
And then you also have an outer personality number from the consonants in your name. And it doesn't matter if you've changed your name, that changes the vibration, but we want the birth certificate. Doesn't matter if you were adopted, whatever, it's the one you came in with initially.
Okay.
And then you add those up and you get your soul purpose. Why are you walking this planet? Why? And then you get your life lesson. What are the lessons that you came into this life to learn?
Yeah, I think those are really key things. I think that's what missing for a lot of people is that we kind of walk around this earth and we're like little zombies. We never figure out what our sole purpose is. And I think I've seen over the years, it's part of that spiritual pain that we just don't know. It's like a soul wants to wake up, but we just don't know like what our sole purpose is. And once you kind of have a little bit of illumination on that, then everything kind of makes sense and things kind of it doesn't look so bad because now you have like a little bit of sense of purpose. And I think that's one of the biggest problems we face these days is people just don't have a sense of purpose anymore.
Well,
And
it's yes, and I agree, Michael. It's and it's a burning question now that there's a lot of people. The energy coming into the planet is very huge, and people that cannot withstand the density, meaning they have a lot of grief they need to get rid of, a lot of anger they need to like let go of, in order to vibrate higher. Okay, and there's people splitting up, relationships splitting up all over the place. Compatible neuroses during COVID is a good thing if you're living with somebody. But 40-40-41 is the Akashic records this year.
interesting.
2021, it unites the mouse with the owl. And what does mouse eat? Or what does owl eat?
Yummy.
Mice.
Yeah, mice.
Okay, it unites the mouse with the owl. Scrutiny and deception, a whole shit pile of deception afoot. Okay, and then the whole thing adds up to what? 41, which is the whale. The
Interesting. Okay.
whale. Okay, the whales are the keepers of the records. Our oceans are speaking to us. Our oceans are communing to us. Our oceans are going to, like they're churning right now. There's all sorts of stuff coming, the oceans this year. And this is not a year to make rigid plans. This is a year to get clarity yourself and then hold that beautiful energy of love, because 41 vibrates to what? The Ace of Hearts in the tarot. And it's the hand of God holding out the love.
Oh, I love that.
Okay? But if
Hold on.
you don't love yourself, there ain't going to be no second coming, okay, people? It's that compassionate love that you have for yourself. If you don't put any gas in your car, you are not going to make it through this next shift. It's as simple as that. Okay? And selfish got turned around a long time ago. And it's time to be players instead of victims.
I like that. Well said.
The first song on my next album, because I did do one called Peace Be With You in memory of Dolores O'Riordan, who gave us Zombie.
Yeah,
Of the
let's
Cranberries.
let's touch on that for a second. Let's touch on your music, your career and stuff like that. And it's interesting. Um, I didn't know who she was when you mentioned it yesterday, Dolores. And then of course, I Googled it and figured it out. And it's like, oh my God, how can I not know who she was? Like, and I mean, it just felt into my heart when I listened to her music and I was like, oh, I know her. And it's like so funny, and it's so interesting that she was part of your life.
What was the first song you that she brought up for you? Because I'm
Well,
saying
it was Zombie. It was Zombie. It came up. It was like the first one. It was Zombie, and it was like, how could I mean? This song played forever on the radio. It was like indoctrinated in my head. So for those who don't really understand, know what we're talking about, so Dolores O'Riordan, is that how you
Awareness
pronounce it?
from the Cranberries,
For the Cranberries,
the
yes.
lead singer for the Cranberries.
You were close with her.
Well, yeah. Again, you know, Michael, here you are, you're saying, oh my God, I should have known about the Cranberries. Okay, we're twinning again. Okay,
Yeah.
because here I am. Okay, when she hit it big in 1992 with Zombie, 90s Zombie and Linger, that was the
Yeah.
other one. Okay, that was when I was sitting under the plant pot.
Interesting.
I didn't know who Dolores was. I had no friggin' idea who she was. I was trying to stay alive by listening to Leonard Cohen, famous Blue Raincoat, and Van Morrison, you know, Hold On to the Friggin' Mystery. And I'm going like, what kind of mystery is it? You know, Alan Parsons Project, you know, Pink Floyd, come on, you know, like
Yeah.
I was listening to all that stuff. Bob Dylan, like anything I could, you know, Simon and Garfunkel.
Yeah.
Yeah. But mostly Cohen, a lot of Cohen.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's interesting.
He's
Yeah.
been a real influence on me. And one of the things Cohen says is he used to say, you know, how can you accept rewards or kudos or, you know, plaques and stuff for things that just come through spirit? Like, and that's how I write. I've been writing forever. I've got a couple of poetry books going, and I actually did a CD in 2005 with my partner Buzz Thompson, who's now deceased. If you really want to get to know somebody, you just marry somebody the same birthday, with the same birthday as Johnny Cash. Mm-hmm.
No way.
Yeah, and he was like Buzz was an amazing singer, kick-ass guitar player, but blues, rhythm and blues singer. He sounded better than James Brown.
Oh,
And he
wow.
was Ronnie Hawkins' lead guitar player for 13 years. And he toured all around the world with members of Ronnie, like Levon Helm and stuff. He'd phone me from the road and I'd say, you know, like, you know, there's something about that code of the road. I don't want to hear how you and Levon and Ronnie got chased by the troopers, okay? Like, just get home, okay? I don't want to hear how they chased you and Ronnie had to take his heart pills while driving your van, okay? No, I don't. I'll just look after your mother and you can come home when you want.
Yeah,
But the
exactly.
thing is that we did a CD together. And then I also was working with the Weber brothers. Like they actually knew Ronnie, and there's a big story about that. But the CD that I did for Dolores came about. Dolores and I were friends for 7 years, and actually, I was helping a friend out in an Irish shop in Lakefield here, and she walked in
Wow.
and she had a big floppy hat and sunglasses and blah 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 blah. And I could kind of tell she didn't want anybody to, you know, help her or anything. And so she just kept coming in, and she'd pick up like, you know, $1,000, $1,200 worth of stuff, put it, you know, wouldn't try it on, bring it up, and then leave. We started talking, and she started warming up to me. And one day I even put a tiara on her head, and I dubbed her the Queen of Ireland because, you know, of her Irish accent, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not in the process. I'm not the kind of person that says, what do you do?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'll find out over time. I want to know how you feel to me, who you are, what, like, let's just have a moment together.
Yeah.
We had lots of those moments. And then one day she was gone for a while. And then one day she came in and she was really upset and she looked like shit. And she asked me to come around the counter and she asked me for a hug. And she
Wow.
fell into my arms, and she was just little, and I'm 6 foot, well, 5'11" now, with this being 64. But anyway, I wrapped her in my arms and she just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed. And then she told me her dad died. And then we got closer after that. So I was dressing her for a year before I even knew that she was the lead singer for the Cranberries. And I finally screwed up enough courage. One day she asked me to the local place for lunch. They all knew who she was. She just ran a tab. There's country bumpkin here, doesn't know. So finally I say, do you mind me asking what it is that you do that, you travel all over the world and you don't seem to have a budget? She says, well, have you ever heard of the Cranberries? Well, I'm the lead singer. I was like, I'm nodding my head like a bobble doll, but I didn't know. I'm just like you.
Yeah.
So I go home. I Google the Cranberries. Well, I didn't get the Cranberries. I got Ave Maria singing for the Pope at the Vatican. And I'm like, what? Like, what? Okay. So then she told me, well, then she tested me for a year and a half.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to be in Toronto with the girls. Come for lunch, like tomorrow. And I'd be like, excuse me, but I'm booked. I have a life other than outside of Dolores or Raritan.
Yeah, I'm so used to, I'm so sure that she was so used to having people
Oh
say
my
yes to
God,
her all the time.
trust. And, and then like she would book me and then she wouldn't show up. Right.
Yeah.
And so then she got a piece of my mind a couple of times. And I finally said, you know what? If you want a plastic friend, go to Hollywood. Because
Interesting.
I ain't it. And
Wow.
then we started to have this beautiful
Authentic friendship, eh?
connection. She knew I was a medium. She knew I was in numerology. I'd given her reading. She knew. We'd had several conversations. We even had a conversation about her bipolar. That's a label. The pills that she was given. And so since she left, she's been a bit busy. She hasn't been resting on any clouds, let's put it that way. And I'm just about to come out with a book, which I was already writing before she died, called Unveiling the Spirit World, correlating all these things that we've been talking about, Michael. Like what happens if you see an animal, if there's nothing that crosses the road that does not or come into your sphere that does not have some sort of meaning, really. It's like, why am I being gifted this? Why is that owl dive bombing my car?
Yeah.
Why? And so if you don't know the language, how can you speak a sentence? So Dolores knew I know this. So I'm talking about the story. I have 50,000 words already from this book because 4 years ago, this April, I was one day from leaving the planet. Michael, I gave myself, notice I say I gave myself, and it's a long story, but I had gangrene in my leg.
Oh, wow.
And it was in my right leg. And the Western medicine helped it along, let's put it that way.
Yeah, interesting.
That's a very diplomatic way of putting it.
Yeah, of course.
And so I was about one day from losing my leg. I even had the plastic surgeon look at me when they finally sent me to a wound doctor. And I was under care of a physician. They finally sent me. And she looked at me and she said, "Who are you? And what is it that you've been doing that you're not either dead or in the hospital on a septic drip?"
Wow.
And I looked at her and I went, well, I've got some big angels looking after me, and I got some healers sending me some energy, and I've been mainlining oregano oil, and huh? And she said, "Oh, well, you have two choices." She was like 30 years old, great big alien blue eyes. She said, "One, you say no, and you'll die within a week. Or two, you say yes, and we'll get you into the operating room as soon as possible. And we'll see if we can save your leg."
Wow.
I'm like, okay, great. So I put myself on my ass, literally, for 7 months. And I couldn't do anything. I couldn't do readings. I couldn't work. I had to say yes. I had to say I am ready to receive. I put myself so far down there because I was always giving, 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 giving,
Yeah.
giving. Okay. So I started writing the book. Then Dolores decides to check out. Okay. She had pills for bipolar. I knew she didn't kill herself for a year before they finally, you know, decided to share the information. But
Yeah.
clarity comes with a lot of responsibility. But the thing is that, you know, I have a mad on, and I would like to share her story and all the stuff that she's come to for me. Like that's like more chapters in the book, but the unveiling the spirit world story, um, it's just about getting how you can get in touch with your guides and your angels. They're everywhere. And if my stories help you to think about that, then I'm doing my job.
That's amazing. So is there a time frame and when we can expect this book to be published, or is
Okay, well, right now, actually, I just finished completing her Peace Be With You album, and it is available on the Peace Train. I also have Jeanne L. Thompson and the Peace Train for YouTube because I, didn't want to upset Cat Stevens, but I did want to jump on that bandwagon. uh, but anyway, yeah, so I have that. And the book, I now have probably about, I don't know, 70, 80,000 words.
okay?
And it can come out anytime. Thing is that I am a multitasker. In my numbers, I have two number 50s. That's 5 to the power of 10. That's 5 rivers of humanity twice. I have 2 8s. I have squirrel medicine. I am the gatherer. I'm the one that gathers all the information and puts it in front of people and says, hey, what do you think of that? And my path of destiny number is actually the number 35, which vibrates to the number genie, which was given to me by a wonderful shaman, sound healer named Michael Moon. He'd be another one you could connect with and talk about. Like he's just an amazing
Yeah,
guy.
I would
He
love
lives in
that.
Toronto. But Michael gave me the handle of the number genie because he said, Jeannie, you're not just a numerology girl, because I'm not. I've correlated it to the tarot, to color, to crystal,
Yeah.
to animal medicines. I'm a walking computer. He said, how about the number genie? You need a handle.
Yeah. I think,
So then what I did was, of course, I did the numbers on the number genie because I had to see if it vibrated to me. And lo and behold, it's 35 over 8. It's my path of destiny number. So that's another thing that I can offer, Michael, for people who are listening, for business people. Why does your card stick out more than somebody else's? Why does your website or your podcast or your banner vibrate with energy as opposed to not? It's because you take the name of your business. Shout out to Catherine Muller of Collective Soul
yeah,
Evolution. We work together on that name.
that's a beautiful name. That is such a brilliant name.
But then you can go to the soul of the business. Does it match what you're doing? Does that soul of the business, and then colors to go with it? You
Yeah.
know, the world management team does it all the time.
Yeah.
Like I've been studying like, Coca-Cola, red and white. Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting, the colors, the power of that. And I think somebody else who I studied numerology, and I remember if it was it numerology or astrology, but during the Reagan years, Nancy Reagan would have readings done for her from what I heard, and she would have that and help with the presidency and help to make decisions behind that and figure things out. So it's so fascinating. Jeannie, we're almost out of time.
Trump has the not we're not he's not ever going to take over this podcast, but he interestingly enough, speaking of Trumpette, and when the world shifts, Trump His soul number is number 16. 16. I need to do a whole podcast on the numbers of Trump and Trudeau, TT. Okay. So his soul number is 16. That's the lightning struck tower in the tarot deck. It goes way back to the Tower of Babel.
Oh my God.
And he does Babylon a little bit, you might
Yes,
think.
he does.
Okay, but 16 is the awakening. So we as a collective dragged him in to wake our sorry, apathetic butts up. Hello, people.
Hello. Yeah. That makes so much sense. I mean,
Don't
that's
be mad at him.
Yeah.
Do something about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're going to wake up. What, are you going to be a sheep? Ovid is Latin for sheep. Corona, oh, crowned sheep. Are you going to be one of those? Are you going to be a black sheep or are you going to be a rainbow sheep? You pick.
Yeah.
Well, I used to be the black sheep, but I got used to color now, so I think I'm going to be a rainbow one.
I like that too. I used to be the man in black. I used to be like Johnny Cash.
Mm-hmm.
But Jeannie, we're out of time, my dear. It's been an absolute pleasure. I am so appreciate you being on the show today. Your energy is amazing. Your knowledge is off the charts. No pun intended there. But yeah, it's fantastic. If they want to get a reading done from you, they want to get their numerology. If you got a business, you got a website, if you want to figure out the numbers.
I have. Thank you, Michael. It's been fascinating too, and I am putting out that this isn't the last time we will have chats. I really enjoy speaking with you. I get inspired as well. But I am the numbergenie.com, and Jeannie is spelled Genie, just like Jeannie. I am out of the bottle, but I do put it in the corner to remind me from whence I've come. I am also the Number Genie on Facebook. I have the Peace Train on Facebook, and I also have a page now called Empower You. That's you, just like the word you, the letter U. And it basically combines a lot, everything of what I do. I decided, okay, I'm going to be doing that. So we'll be doing some TV shows of our own.
Fantastic.
About that. Okay, thank you so much, Michael.
You're quite
really
welcome.
Appreciate, and have a wonderful sunshiny Canadian day, eh?
It certainly will. Well, again, thank you so much. I'll have everything in the descriptions below, everybody, on the videos, also on the podcast. So I'm just going to sign off. This has been the Metaphysical Mentor Podcast with Michael Philpott. Thank you so much for joining me, and goodbye for now.
Bye for now. So much love.